What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbert here at JGilbert11, breaking down some GPP bats for today's slate. Big 15, 14 game slate, depending on what site you're playing on. A lot of different ways you can go tonight. This is going to be a fun slate, just because I think ownership is going to be pretty spread out. I'm not going to be worrying about a whole ton of it. I'll talk about a couple of guys who will draw some high ownership, but for the most part, this is going to be a good game to kind of fire away with, or a good slate to fire away with. So, looking at catcher, we have cores. I don't really have any interest in the cores catchers. I like going cheap. I do like Jonathan Lucroy, who's starting to really heat up here, hitting over 300 in the last 10 games. He's a guy I'll definitely be considering against Bolsinger, who's a league average righty in that ballpark. I don't mind him. Average ground ball rate, not missing a ton of bats, not allowing a ton of hard contact, but not inducing a lot of soft contact either. You look at Lucroy, if he's hitting fourth, good value for a catcher who does have some power as well. And like I said, I don't think ownership is going to be crazy high. So you look at Lucroy, solid numbers against righties last year. And struggled at the beginning of the year, but this is a good spot to kind of hop back on board. Evan Gattis, I don't mind, who's right around the same price. You look at Gossman. Gossman's just been a mess. Against righties this year, I'll certainly be firing away just with a ton of right-handed Astros bats. Gossman, 4.39 WOBA to righties this year, 35% hard contact rate, not missing as many bats as he was last year. So Gattis is firmly in play from the right side. I don't mind him. Does have that catcher eligibility. So I think those are the two higher price guys that I'll take a look at. If you're looking elsewhere, Derek Norris, I don't mind. Probably going to hit about 7th in that order. You look at Hector Santiago, this guy's been lucky. Really lucky this year. So look at what he's been doing. The home runs are going to be there, just given the fact that his ground ball rate is still low 30s, 33% hard contact rate, not missing a ton of bats. Just a 16.5% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. FIP and XFIP, definitely not that great. So Santiago's a guy I'll be looking to pick on. I think Norris is a guy that you can continue to do that with. And he's on the cheaper side, so he allows you to kind of free up some salary and do that with. So I don't mind those three options at catcher tonight. First base, a lot of different ways you can go. And DK and FanDuel, the difference between cores tonight is pretty. Rockies bats are pretty playable on DraftKings. They didn't price them up a ton. So kind of going through here, I don't love the Rockies bats on FanDuels. I don't love the Cardinals bats on FanDuel. I like them a little bit more on DraftKings where they hold some value. And that should also shift some ownership away from some of the other surrounding names. So, on DraftKings, we'll start things off. I don't mind Matt Carpenter. You look at Senzatella, he has not been bad as far as by numbers indicate, but against lefties, still 3.31 WOBA. He doesn't miss a lot of bats. Hard contact's fairly average, 4 home runs on the year. So it's a good spot for guys like Fowler and Carpenter kind of get on board here. Jerko's a guy I don't mind using here either. So, Rockies bats are firmly in play. We'll get that one out of the way for DraftKings. So, looking elsewhere, as far as other guys go, I like Chris Davis against Joe Musgrove, who Musgrove's just been meh. Average righty, 350 WOBA allowed to lefties, average strikeout rate, decent amount of ground balls, but nothing to keep me really off Baltimore tonight. Good ballpark there at Minute Maid, especially if they open the roof. So Chris Davis, a good GPP play. I don't mind going that route. If you're looking elsewhere, Hanley Ramirez, price is kind of dropping down. Has struggled a little bit here over the last few games, a couple of no-hit games, but you look at Giovanni Gallardo, 382 WOBA to righties, 37% hard contact rate, not missing bats, has left 5 home runs already to right-handers. So, I like the Red Sox righties. I do think they might draw a little bit of ownership. I don't think Hanley's going to be the guy that does that, though. So Hanley really in play for me at his cheaper price, especially on FanDuel, 3,400, so decent spot for him there. If Yonder Alonso's in the lineup, I know he's been a little bit banged up. I don't mind him against Tanaka, who's been struggling against lefties. 351 WOBA, has allowed 6 home runs already. 5.46 FIPS. So I'll definitely be looking at A's as kind of a contrarian way with guys like Chris Davis too. So don't mind those options at first base whatsoever. As far as other guys go, though, nothing too thrilling. I mean, a lot of these guys go to bad ballparks. Joey Votto, tough spot against Nola, who's decent against lefties, enough to keep me away. Goldschmidt's a little bit expensive on my part. Rizzo, lefty in Dodger Stadium, I'm not exactly thrilled. FanDuel, if Jose Abreu's in the lineup for the second game, I do like him, but he is a good GPP play just because the lineups are going to be iffy for that second game anyway. So I definitely don't mind that. Eric Thames is a guy I'll take a look at in GPPs against Godley. Godley hasn't been bad this year, rolling a decent amount of ground balls as well, but his larger sample size indicates that he's been pretty average. So Thames is a guy I'll consider using tonight as well at first base. Second base, sticking with the Houston trend, I don't mind paying up for a Jose Altuve against Gossman. You look at Altuve, I mean, over 380 WOBA against righties going back to last year, decent 180 ISO as well. Consistent option. I don't mind going up just because I'm not particularly in love with Daniel Murphy or really Robinson Cano tonight or any of the high-priced second base options. I'd rather kind of spin down and look at some other guys like Neil Walker, just given the fact that Chad Kuhl is just bad. I mean, I talked about the stacking the Mets on the stacking pod. So, I mean, all those lefties against Kuhl are firmly in play. Lucas Duda's a guy I glossed over at first base, but I would use him as well. So I don't mind going that route. I think Neil Walker's a solid option. Cesar Hernandez, good spot against Edelman, who's average against lefties at best. Gives up a decent amount of hard contacts. So you can really look to use him in any formats. But if you're looking for a cheap guy, I mean, Odor's a guy I'll consider. Jakob Bolsinger, I mean, small sample size this year, but overall, this is a guy who's been bad against left-handers. Odor still on the cheaper side, still hitting the ball hard. He's just been a little bit unlucky this year. So a good option to kind of continue the trend tonight and be ahead of the curve. So if people are getting burned by playing or you're burned by playing, I mean, I can understand that, but he's going to pop out here pretty soon. Third base, I mean, you have the Rockies guys, Jerko and Arenado, that are in play. Jake Lamb let down last night, but decent spot against Guerra. I'll be looking at him if I am paying up to make a pivot away from the Coors guys. But I like Manny Machado here against Musgrove. Machado, home runs and power potential has been there. He's been driving in runs, but obviously he hasn't been a consistent guy. If you look at Musgrove, 394 WOBA to lefties, 2.25 home runs per nine. Average strikeout rate. So, I mean, this is a good spot for the Orioles. I like Machado. I like taking advantage of the drop-down price tag. So, he'll be a guy that I play a ton of tonight. And then you kind of get into some other options. I mean, Mike Moustakas against Clevenger, I don't hate it. I don't really love that game in general, but he's cheap enough. He's going to be low on sub 10%, which makes sense. Get to some other guys. Todd Frazier, if you can get him on the second game, I don't mind. Todd FanDuel, DraftKings, you can't go that route, but other options, I mean, Evan Longoria, I know he's been struggling a little bit this year. He's a guy I definitely don't mind against Santiago, who's due for some regression. You look at Longoria, I mean, since last year, 190 ISO against left-handed pitching. Warm night in Minnesota, I'm not afraid of taking some raised bats against Santiago, who is a home run-prone lefty. Outside of that, though, not a ton to really get excited about. Joey Gallo, you can throw in as a one-off, but that's about it. So I think those are the names I'll be sticking with at third base. Shortstop, Bogart's coming off a big night. You can definitely attack Gallardo with Bogarts, who's starting to really heat up. And with that right-handed number Gallardo's allowing, I like Bogarts quite a bit. And then you kind of move down here. I mean, Asdrubal Cabrera should be back into lineup tonight. I don't mind him against Kuhl. Should regain his spot at second in the order. Tim Beckham, I'll definitely consider if he's hitting up in the top half of the lineup, which he should be against the lefty. On the cheaper side, I mean, a good salary reliever on DraftKings should be a little bit popular just because Beckham's kind of caught the eye of people. Crazy hard hit rate against lefties. The strikeout rate is high. So there's definitely pivots to be made. I mean, I don't mind Freddie Galvis just going up against Adelman for a cheaper price. You can go those different ways to kind of make a move. If you're paying up, though, I mean, looking at DraftKings, I mean, Chris Correa or Carlos Correa, very underpriced. I'll definitely be getting a ton of exposure to him. Astros bats are in a good spot against Gossman with that right-handed number. So Carlos Correa, I mean, I don't mind it on FanDuel, but you're paying up. DraftKings, he's at a really nice bargain. More out of outfield. I mean, I think the two pay-up options for me, I like Blackmon as much as the next guy, but I really like Conforto and Mookie Betts here. Talked about Cool, talked about Gallardo. It makes sense with those two bats and the way they're hitting the ball right now. The running potential for Betts has been there. So I like paying up for those, but starting to kind of move down off those guys and looking elsewhere. But Nelson Cruz, 3,800 on FanDuel, 42 on DK. As much as I like Eduardo Rodriguez, I mean, we know Nelson Cruz against the left, he's always in play. And at 4,200 on DK, I'll certainly be giving him a look. There's a lot of potential there. I think if you're going elsewhere, I don't mind the Baltimore bats against Musgrove. I mean, Adam Jones, Mark Trumbo firmly in play. George Springer's in play. Just given the fact that those both pitchers have right-handed reverse splits. In that power in that ballpark, you're getting them at decent prices, and there is some big home run potential out of those guys. So they're in play. Nomar Mazara, a couple of tough at-bats or tough outings here just because of the pitching, but he was hitting well before over the last week or so. I'll definitely consider him tonight. As I said, Bolsinger struggles against left-handers in his career. A lot of potential there. And then you kind of look elsewhere. I mean, David Peralta priced down again on FanDuel, 3,200. I don't mind going that route. It was a pretty lackluster night for the Diamondbacks, but a good spot to bounce back here. If you're looking cheap, I probably won't be going back to the Gregor Blanco train, but he's in play again. Phillies outfielders, I mean, Michael Saunders, Odubel Herrera, good GPP guys tonight against Edelman. Decent ballpark. I mean, Herrera had an absolute awful day. He may just need a day off to just recuperate. I think he had 5 Ks in that game against the Rockies. So, I mean, tough outing for him. But if he's in the lineup, I'll consider he's still a good hitter despite that. So, all on the cheaper side with those Phillies guys, I definitely don't mind going that route. Ezekiel Carrera is a guy I'll take a look at. AJ Griffin struggles with lefties. Carrera should be hitting the top of that lineup. Kind of curious to see what that lineup looks like. Could be getting Donaldson back here soon. Jose Bautista heating up. So Jays could be going a little bit overlooked. So Bautista, Carrera can crack the list as far as outfitters go as well. So those names are definitely the guys that I'm on tonight for tournaments. Like I said, ownership's not going to be pretty crazy for any one guy. Just given the fact that there are a lot of different ways to go. If you want to check out dailyfantasycafe.com, we'll have our tools, cheat sheets, articles all coming up. And good luck tonight.